So, have you ever wondered what the absolutely most important 10 inches of your entire digestive system are? Most people guess the stomach, or maybe the large intestine, but actually, it's a tiny, sharply curved tube that does the heaviest lifting in our body's entire digestive processing plant.
Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're making duodenum anatomy easy. If you're looking for a highly visual, beginner-friendly guide to mastering this crucial part of the human digestive system, well, you're in exactly the right place. Let's just dive right into the ultimate mixing bowl of digestion.
Okay, so the duodenum is the very first, most proximal part of the small intestine. And fun fact, the name duodenum actually comes from Latin, meaning 12. Why 12? Well, ancient anatomists measured it as being about 12 finger breadths in length. It's roughly 10 to 12 inches long, forming this horseshoe or C shape that wraps really tightly around the head of the pancreas. Its main job, it receives that partially digested food directly from the stomach and immediately gets to work absorbing vital nutrients.
Let's meet the duodenum and see exactly where it sits.
To really understand its location, we've got to talk about the peritoneum. That's the protective lining of your abdominal cavity. Notice that term retroperitoneal? It's absolutely crucial. While the very first few centimeters of the duodenum sit loosely inside that lining, the vast majority of this organ is firmly tucked away, safely behind it.
So who are its anatomical neighbors? Well, the duodenum forms a direct connection straight from the stomach's pylorus. From there, it's strategically positioned right beneath the liver and the gallbladder, sitting intimately close to the right kidney and the major abdominal blood vessels. It's essentially the central grand station of your upper abdomen.
Now let's break down its 4 specific parts.
Anatomists elegantly divide the duodenum into 4 sequentially numbered sections. We've got the superior part, the descending part, the horizontal part, and finally, the ascending part. We're going to explore each of these step by step.
Starting right at the exit of the stomach, we have Part 1, the superior part. It's incredibly short, actually, only about 2 inches long. It travels horizontally just for a brief moment and then makes this sharp, sudden turn downwards at a corner known as the superior duodenal flexure.
Now here's where it gets really interesting, especially from a clinical perspective. The very beginning of this superior part is slightly enlarged and really smooth, earning it the nickname the duodenal bulb, or cap. Why does this matter? Well, this exact spot is the most common site for painful duodenal ulcers to develop. Because it's the very first structure right after the stomach, it takes that first highly acidic hit of emptying food.
Following that sharp turn, we head straight downwards into Part 2, the descending part. This section is completely retroperitoneal and runs for about 3 to 4 inches. Just look at how it perfectly curves right around the head of the pancreas, basically hugging it tight.
This next part is honestly often misunderstood by beginners, but it houses one of the most critical plumbing connections in your entire body, the major duodenal papilla, guarded by the sphincter of Oddi. This is the exact entrance where the common bile duct from your liver and the main pancreatic duct from your pancreas both empty right into the intestine. This muscular sphincter acts like a precise dynamic valve, regulating the flow of bile and pancreatic juices that you absolutely need to break down your meals.
Okay, so after curving around the pancreas, we reach Part 3, the horizontal part. You might also hear it called the inferior part. This is the longest stretch of the duodenum at about 4 inches. It basically runs transversely from right to left, crossing completely over your spine and 2 really massive blood vessels, the inferior vena cava and the abdominal aorta.
Finally, we follow a gentle upward curve right into Part 4, the ascending part. This is a pretty short segment that travels upwards on the left side of the aorta until it abruptly turns forward to join the next main section of the small intestine, which is the jejunum. And this transition site is called the duodenojejunal flexure. And right at that flexure is something super fascinating, the ligament of Treitz. This is a suspensory muscle that physically holds the junction up. But honestly, more importantly for doctors and surgeons, this anatomical landmark serves as the official theoretical border between your upper gastrointestinal tract and your lower gastrointestinal tract. A real game changer for clinical diagnosis.
Moving right along, let's look at the blood supply network. Check out how the arterial supply is perfectly mirrored by the venous drainage. Because the duodenum shares so much physical space with the pancreas, they essentially share their blood supply via vessels known as the pancreatico-duodenal arteries and veins. They operate together in this beautifully synchronized vascular network.
But here is a truly surprising fact about human development. The duodenum is uniquely positioned so that it actually develops from 2 completely different parts of the early embryo, the foregut and the midgut. And because of this, the first two parts of the duodenum get their arterial blood from the celiac trunk, while the third and fourth parts get theirs from the superior mesenteric artery. That is literally two completely different developmental vascular sources powering one single small organ. Let's wrap up our anatomical tour with drainage and nerves.
To control digestion, your body uses two competing nerve signals. Think of the parasympathetic system, which is driven by the vagus nerve, as the gas pedal. It stimulates gland secretion and widens blood vessels so you can actively rest and digest. On the flip side, the sympathetic system, driven by the splanchnic nerves, acts as the brakes. It inhibits secretion and narrows blood vessels during high-stress, fight or flight moments. And these neurological commands, well, they're executed by two microscopic nerve networks embedded right inside the intestinal wall, called plexuses. We've got the submucosal plexus, which exclusively handles parasympathetic signals to control secretions. And then, deeper in the muscle layers, the myenteric plexus, which uses both parasympathetic and sympathetic fibers to control the actual muscular contractions that squeeze food along.
All right, let's quickly recap our key takeaways.
Here are your absolutely crucial beginner-friendly takeaways to lock in. First, the duodenum is a C-shaped 10 to 12-inch mixing bowl that kicks off small intestine digestion. Second, it's divided into 4 distinct parts, mostly tucked safely away in the retroperitoneal space. Third, definitely remember that the major papilla in the descending part is the crucial plumbing junction where bile and pancreatic juices enter. And finally, its blood supply is completely shared with the pancreas via 2 major vascular trunks.
It's pretty amazing how much critical function is packed into such a tiny space, right? From those ancient anatomists measuring exactly 12 finger breadths to understanding its dual blood supply, it really is a marvel. So what part of the human digestive system should we break down and cover next? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments. And hey, don't forget to subscribe for more clear, simple medical explanations just like this one. See you next time.